Hey everybody, it is Shit Talk Reviews. Thanks so much for joining us. If you chose to be here, if you did not choose to be here, I hope that they take the handcuffs off your wrists and let you out the back of the van. Hey Derek, how's it going?
Great, Dave isn't here.
We're starting off hot today.
Hey, listen, he is gallivanting in Europe, and he is being the snob that he is.
Well, you know, I suppose when you reach that certain position in life, you're afforded certain things, and for Dave, that happens to be, this week anyway, a trip to Europe.
Well, he's blowing off what's important, and that is reviewing metal.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, here we are, we're putting in the work, and he's opted to not do his part this week.
Well, hopefully he puts on pants, as we saw with the picture with him wearing his underpants and his beret.
What was he? He was a what seaman?
A nautical seaman.
A nautical seaman.
Wearing
yes.
Underpants and a beret.
As opposed to a land-based seaman.
He's just a seaman. So
sounds terrible. But
enough with crapping on
David.
That loser. What are we talking about
today? We are talking about Veil of Maya's new release, Mother.
Mother.
Different
Do you
Mother.
wanna bang heads of me?
It's their 7th release on Sumerian Records, and I'd heard the single from this album, one of the singles, I believe they released 2, Disco Kill Party and Godhead. I was pretty familiar with Godhead, and I was excited to hear the rest of this album. I chose this album to review for 2 reasons. One, I was just excited to hear new Veil of Maya, and 2, the 8th track is called Synthwave Vegan, so that was enough of a reason for me to pick it. So you would be annoyed.
Yeah, I figured this was a trap album, and I woke up today. Usually I get up at 5 a.m. to travel, and I listen to a lot of music on that trip. It's about an hour, and all the way here, I felt like I was walking into a trap. And
now,
thankfully,
did you feel like you were walking into a trap before you played the album, or while listening to the album?
Both. Yeah, I listened to it. I mean, as it is, he gave me one day notice.
Yeah, it was a short notice.
And we've had a busy week in real life with graduations and photo shoots and all kinds of other things. And, you know, we, as you guys know, for those of you, the 5 of you who listen, we do a lot of photo shoots with battle armor on. As you'll see on all of our socials. And so in between battle suit shoots, I listened to this, and I got to say that Mark Okubo is one talented dude, and really thoroughly enjoyed his work start to finish. I enjoyed parts of the album.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Are you asking for do you want my personal...
Well, no, yeah, we can certainly get into it. Before we do, though, I do want to apologize to you, Derek, for the short notice, not giving a whole lot of time to really digest the album. As you said, we are very busy, and sometimes in the midst of being busy in the course of the day, I forget that the world revolves around you. So I am sorry.
Well, when you have the jawline that you have, and when old ladies take their dentures out when they see you, you know, you can get a fat head and start believing that you are God's gift to not only the female race, but the entire race of humanity.
That's correct.
And, you know, we're sitting there at, after 12 o'clock yesterday, and I still didn't know what I was reviewing.
True.
So maybe when you look in the mirror in the morning, maybe you forget your jawline and the fact that you're, 15 feet tall and built like Superman. And maybe think of other people.
Well, I'll try. I make no guarantees.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to the record. You mentioned Mark Okubo. He plays guitar and does all the programming for the band, and he is amazing. The guy is fantastic. His programming work it's so good, and it makes up such a big facet of this record. For me, I think people would be hard pressed to deny that.
He's a mathematician.
Yeah.
And as Devin Townsend said, we all rip off Meshuggah. And
that's fair.
It is fair. And, it's interesting because when you read about the band, they're classified as metalcore. Mm-hmm. They're not. They're not a metalcore band. They are...
gent. Yes.
Gent, however you pronounce it. Gent. Progressive metalcore is what I would call them.
Yeah, that's accurate, I'd say. I hate all these different subgenres, but yeah, I would agree that if you had to classify them, that's where they'd land.
But in the end of the day, I mean, it really does all kind of, how metal grew out of Black Sabbath. I would say that for progressive metal, it all grew out of Meshuggah. And, the Veil of Maya, it stays within the stream much more so than Periphery. And I really enjoy the really heavy parts. I love the gunfire riffs. There are some boy band sing-along songs in there as well. And
this
that's
is getting to be a trend for me, is bringing you albums that...
Well, and this is not a shot at Lucas. He can sing it. He can pull it off, which is, more power to him. Do I personally love these really singy, boy bandish chorus parts? Not for me. But there is a lot of people that are out there that like Periphery, that like Veil of Maya, and are down with that. And you are one of them.
I am.
And I think for people who are appreciative of many kinds of music, this album in particular is people can approach it and really sink their teeth into it. For me, Periphery went off because they go down these jazz interludes and everything else, as we discussed. But this stays core to metal, rock, guitars. They don't leave the reservation, if you will.
One of the things that I like about Periphery is the things that I like about Veil of Maya. Their ability to go from really super technical riffs into a clean melodic chorus with the soaring guitars, and then right back into a deathcore break they're top notch. It's great. I love the progressive aspect of that, of the genre skipping, as we talked about during the Periphery review. And these guys are at the top of the game.
It occurred to me, we had a email correspondence with Monty Connor, who once did A&R for Roadrunner. He's now, runs Nuclear Blast. And, I've known him. When I say know him, I know him, and he knew of the work that we did, or I did in the past. And I let him know that, hey, we're doing this. And he said to both of us, actually, he said, well, people can be their own kind of judge, jury, and executioner on music. Mm-hmm. And so you don't really need people to write reviews or do podcasts to talk about music. And my argument back is that people are lazy and they don't really want to go searching for it. And they need people like us to tell them. But I think there's also another part to what we do. And I think anybody who writes a review or does a podcast, when you listen to Veil of Maya, it's important to understand, and any band for this matter, understand that these are artists. They have their interpretation of the world, their view of the world, what they want to play, what they want to do. And if we can turn a person's opinion back on an artist, that bias of a person that comes in and listens to something and goes, nope, I'm not interested, then we've done our job. If we can break the bias and bring them back and give it a listen. And for me, again, I make fun of the boy band parts. There's a lot of people that really like that. And I think it's important for media entities such as ourselves, whether we write or you do podcasts or whatever the form is, to be honest about the fact that artists have their worldview and then the consumer has their worldview, but for us to give an opportunity to change that worldview.
One of the things that I like about that, and I know you like to harp on the boy band aspect, of the clean vocals and things like that, and it's great because again, we've all got our own opinions. We all have our own tastes, the bands we like, the bands we don't like, the styles we're into and not, so on and so forth. Having a venue like this to talk about it is great. I mean, we sure have a good time sitting around here and shooting the shit and giving each other a hard time. But yeah, if one person listens to this and says like, oh, well, this is a band that I've never heard of, or I've heard of, but I've never really listened to before, we can expose somebody to something that they might not have heard. That's rad. We get to enjoy the...
Making fun of each other.
Well, the fact is you have the general tact of a bowling ball, and that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. But getting to expose people to stuff is fun. And we love music, whatever the style. Look, this is the best part of my week, is to get around and shoot the shit about this stuff.
I will tell you that I had never given Veil of Maya a shot, but I had to.
Yeah,
and
you were forced.
I was and you call me the bowling ball. You forced me, but the good part of this is that it makes you get out of your comfort zone. And let's be honest, the world could probably stand to get out of their comfort zone much more.
Yeah.
Social media allows you to clan and surround yourself with like-minded people all the time. And, I think that these artists, you look at Periphery and you look at Veil of Maya, they're trying to expand people's horizons and they're able to execute it as musicians. And for me, it was good. I enjoyed being able to open my mind and not just say, well, that's a boy band part. I see what they're trying to do and I do understand it. I never gave it a chance before.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it all through and through. And I really like a lot of the synth on this. There's some dark stuff. There's some uplifting stuff. There's even, some even almost dancey parts in there. And, it's a good listen early this morning.
Yeah, the programming, the synth programming that's done on this record, like I said, is done really well. And the way that it's integrated with your standard traditional bass guitar drums is done really seamlessly. A lot of times it's attempted and it's there, but it doesn't flow. And it flows great on this record.
Mother Part 4, the sun was coming up, perfect timing, music fit the mood. And look, my favorite band of all time is Typo Negative. I love how Peter Steele composed and put albums together and songs together. And the keyboards were always an accentuation, but then they were given the ability to rise up and be the centerpiece and take the spotlight away from guitars and away from the vocals and away from the bass. And they did a really good job of that with Mother Part 4. It really fit that moment in time, but just the song in general, the composition was very epic for me.
Credit to the guys in the band, Mark Okubo again on guitar, Sam Applebaum on drums. Amazing drummer. He's super fluid. He's got really fast feet. He's one of those drummers that if you watch him play, he makes it look effortless. He's putting in the work, but it looks like it just flows out of him, which is awesome. Danny Hauser on bass and Lucas. I know I'm going to butcher Lucas's last name. Apologies if you hear this. Lucas Magier on vocals. Great singer too, able to slide back and forth between growls, screams, and he's got great clean vocals. Really, really super talented group of guys. I like the record. I love it because it scratches a lot of my personal itches. It's got a lot of the gent feel, a lot of heavy, as you said, Meshuggah feeling riffs, and the patterns where everything locks together. I love it. Really turns my wheels.
The question I had was on Reconnect. There was guitars that are just mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And I started questioning whether or not that was actually keyboards. And I'd love if somebody could tell me.
Yeah.
Either way, it's incredible, but I'd love to get the clarity on it.
Yeah. The end result is one where it fits. It's perfect. It's so well done. And again, I think a lot of that is credit to Mark for being able to do killer programming. I should know, but I don't know who produced the album, if it was self-produced or they brought somebody in. But they did just an exceptional job. I think it is a fantastic record. I'm a huge fan, and it will definitely land on a bunch of playlists for me. You got any standout tracks that you really liked?
Tokyo Chainsaw is just a banger.
Killer opener.
It's very Meshuggah-like. I liked Reconnect. I liked Mother Part 4. Those really stood out for me.
Artificial Dose, the second track on the album, was one of my absolute favorites. Godhead, I believe it was the first signal that came out. It's like a death march. Awesome track. Were you offended by the amount of synth on this, or did it offend you as much as Periphery did?
No.
I'm sorry, then I feel like I failed.
You did fail. The trap didn't work. You set the trap.
Damn it.
They stay within the reservation of who they are and what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I did go back briefly last night and listen to some of their other material, and they've stayed true to themselves. And look, I will always be of the opinion that bands that come out, they are a certain way, and they end that way. They can test the limits of who they are, but Slayer was great from start to finish. Typo Negative was great from start to finish. I personally really respect bands that can stay within a reservation, but not go over the fence off that reservation.
Go too far outside of what they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, from a listening standpoint with Periphery, again, I don't mean to bring them up, but I am. They went too far having jazz interludes and almost like I don't know what that sleepy song was, but it just went too far. I never felt that way with Veil of Maya. And again, artists, they can do whatever they want. They don't owe Derek or anybody else a reason for doing what they do. But I personally like there to be something that's within a certain realm of... It could be a 40-acre reservation.
Well, you like the guardrails
Yeah.
to be pretty narrow. When it comes to a metal record, you want a metal record with not a lot of deviations. Am I right?
Yeah, and it's funny, I'm a hypocrite too. Like if the Foo Fighters came out and did a death metal song on their next album, I'd be like, rock on, that's great. And I know that they did, with the Widowmaker, they did a death metal record which was awesome. But I'd still, give them a high five, a virtual high five for going and doing a By Demons Be Driven song on a Foo Fighters record. If rock bands do that, then I'm good with it. But if a metal band goes and does a Foo Fighters song, I'm like,
Why do you suppose that is? Why do you suppose it's okay in one direction, but the other direction it's not?
Because opinions are like assholes and everybody has one.
No, that's fair.
It's tastes and like. I hate cucumbers, you like them. It just is what it is. And that's what's beautiful about doing this. But I go back to the conversation with Monty. I think the more that we talk as humans, the more that we interact as humans and we kick our biases to the curb, the more we might actually like each other and like music.
Look, at the end of it all, both of our funerals are going to be pretty sparsely attended.
They are. We're
mean?
pretty unlikable, and I hate you, and you hate me. And...
Well, that's the thing. Neither one of us discriminate. We hate each other equally, and I think that's why we get along so well.
It's true. Yeah, and, when Dave's not here, I miss whipping him.
I do. That chair, that empty chair where David J. sits is, on one hand, it's sad, and I feel a little depressed and mistful, perhaps, forlorn, longing. And on the other hand, it just makes me smile.
Well, he inevitably is in Europe, and his nipples are sticking through shirts. And there's probably people in Europe who are far more sophisticated than him, looking at him going, he must be an American because his nipples are sticking through his shirt.
But you know what? He's probably trying hard to fit in. Maybe he's wearing a nice beret.
A raspberry beret.
Yeah, a raspberry beret and a tank top netted shirt with an American flag on it.
I think he'd get beat up or robbed.
But would he know the difference is the question.
No, he's from New Jersey. He does what he wants.
Yeah, and that's not a slam on people from New Jersey. That's just a slam on Dave because he's not here to defend himself.
All my relatives are from New York, and I know how New Jerseyites and New York folks are. They just don't give a fuck, and neither does Dave.
God bless him.
Yeah.
But back to Veil of Maya and Mother. I am a fan. I'm a big fan. I've liked their earlier stuff. And like I said, I was excited to hear this record. I think the tones are great on this record. The guitars and drums are huge. There's a ton of fat low end, but it's super clean. Again, credit to the production. Let's talk numbers. Where does this one land for you?
I had it at a 7.5. It would have been higher. I'm not trying to crap on Lucas, but some of the sing-along, happy-go-lucky, New Kids on the Block parts, I could have done without.
Fair.
And I would have loved to hear more songs like Tokyo Chainsaw.
Yeah.
More songs like Mother Part 4. More songs like Reconnect. But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I, on the other hand, love the record. I love the cleans. I love the... fine with the sing-songy sing-alongs, baby.
By the way, I'm going to get you a New Kids on the Block signed record, off eBay for $5, and
Sweet.
You can put it up in your office here.
I look forward to it. Will you also get it signed by Lucas and Spencer from Periphery?
I would never disrespect them in that regard. I can't. It'd be awful of me to do that.
Know. I can tell you're thinking, man, because I can smell something burning. It's weird. See, my rating is considerably higher than yours. I'm giving it a solid 9 because I think it is a killer record. The production is awesome. The performance is awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, I was so excited with how well Mark integrated the synth and electronica programming into a heavy metal record. I just was so enamored with it. I'm a big fan.
Is it better than Periphery's new album?
Yeah, I think I gave Periphery an 8.5 for Periphery 5. And I think this one stands a little bit above it.
Now, is this in the running for your album of the year?
Based solely on the numbers so far, yeah, it is. There's a couple other ones, too, that we've done written reviews on. Dissentient's record, is unbelievable record. I didn't know of them until I came across them on a new release radar, and that's a contender for the top.
And that is why we're doing this.
Yeah,
Monty
absolutely.
Connor to introduce people to new music.
Listen, man, I've got a lot of respect and a healthy fear of Monty, and I'm gonna not say anything because I don't want Monty to send the nuclear pension.
A nuclear blast your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I think that his point is taken, but I do believe that human interaction is necessary when it comes to art to inspire.
I agree, and it's nice. Again, I don't care if nobody's listening to this drivel we're putting out because I'm having a great time just getting to sit and talk about music. I don't care either way.
Well, this has been fun. I will say this. Dave, I don't miss you at all.
Well, you know what?
Annoy me.
He's going to be gone next Friday, too.
All right.
So we'll have one more week of reprieve, and we will send this to him so he does know that he is, and I use this term loosely, missed.
Well, next week we will do Cloak, Black Flame Eternal.
See, this is another band I am completely unaware of, so I'm going to come in totally blind. I love it.
It's good.
All right.
It's different.
It is Memorial Day weekend for us. We're recording this on May 26th, so if I manage to get this posted up soon enough, whoever hears it, I hope you have a lovely Memorial Day weekend and keep your fucking music cranked up loud.
Rock the fuck on.
There you have it. All right, thanks everybody. See you next time.